Hello there, listeners and viewers, and welcome back to New Life Show on AUK Radio. I'm your host, Yinka Omishore. And on this show, as with every other episode on the show, we're here to talk about our health and well being and everything else in between. So today, your hormones are like an unpredictable Wi Fi connection. 1 minute is giving you the strongest signal and you're feeling amazing, and the next, hmm, we're glitching. Which is why you can feel angry, you can feel hungry, all at the same time. Now, feeling good, feeling not so good has a lot to do with our hormones. So today we are talking about hormonal health, and more precisely, hormonal imbalances. And I have got a special guest with years of experience in the health and wellness industry to talk to us today about the topic of hormonal imbalances. But before we go on in with the show, here's our short disclaimer. Just to let you know that, again, that we're here to provide you with information for general purposes only. We are not here to diagnose, neither do we prescribe. But yes, we do make suggestions. However, before you make any changes to your lifestyle, please do consult with your healthcare provider in the first instance. So, with that being said, let's get on with today's show. So, welcome, Edith, to the show. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. Yeah, I feel like my
Awesome.
glasses is reflecting.
All right.
Yeah, how are you? How are you? How was your day? How's your day been so far?
Oh my goodness, busy. It's been a busy week. It's been a crazy
Yeah.
busy week.
Hmm.
And I've traveled. I've been the breadth and the length of this country. I've been on meetings. I've been on webinars just yesterday and on Monday. And yeah, so lots going on. Lots going on.
So, does it promise to be a little bit more relaxing weekend for you then?
Well, yes, I intend to be at home and take care of the home.
Yeah.
Very important.
Do all you need to do, and of course, looking after yourself and getting that well-deserved break. Yes.
Yes. Yes,
Yes. Good. Good.
absolutely.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay. So, well, let me just tell us a little bit about my guest today. So it is Tamambwa. I always say I need to make sure I get that last name correct. Did I do well? Tamambwa.
Uh, do it again.
Edith Tamambwa.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, you did good.
Yay, I got it. Yes. So henceforth we go on the first name now. So Edith is an occupational therapist, a wellness and health coach, speaker, and she's a health ministry director of the South England Conference of the SDA Church. Now, Edith has got over 20 years in the wellness field across the United Kingdom, Ireland, and Zimbabwe. Her mission is helping people to live healthier, happier, and more fulfilled lives through faith based holistic lifestyle health. So, we are super blessed to have you here today. So, again, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Now, this topic about hormonal imbalance is one that's, close to my heart. Of course, working with women, midlife women. So we talk a lot about menopause. And we know, a lot of the symptoms have to do with the hormonal issues that is going on. So yes, so I am looking forward to our conversation today. And just let me just throw it out there now. So hormones is not just for women. Men also have hormones. Yeah. So the hormones are responsible for the different stages of a woman's life. So it defines a young girl's going through puberty, a pregnant woman, even lactating, that is breastfeeding, and of course the menopause. And also for the men, or from boy to, from a baby to a boy, the boy going through puberty, hormones are responsible for the development. And even when men come to what we refer to as midlife, which now we know is not, you know, a midlife crisis per se, it sounds like it is. And for some men, yes, it is. But it's a lot to do with the hormonal imbalances, or should I say, the changing in hormonal landscape that is happening in that man's body. So, yeah, so men and women, this show is for you today. So let's learn about our hormones, what they are. So actually, my first question would be, so if you're gonna explain what hormones are, it is, what would you say to maybe a 5-year-old or someone that has no idea what hormones are?
Okay, so hormones are the chemical messengers that are in our bodies that help the body to function in the best way possible. So basically, if you think of your hormones as uh, if we're explaining it to a little person, it would be a person that goes and tells certain parts of your body, whether it's your muscles, your brain, your heart, your lungs, your kidneys, what to do at certain times. But in this in this instance, they are actually chemicals or liquid substances that are made in various parts of the body. So we have hormones made in our stomach, we have
Mm-hmm.
hormones made in our liver, we have hormones
Mm-hmm.
made in our what we call our adrenal glands of our kidneys, we have hormones that are made in our brain, in the throat, so different parts of the body, and
Mm-hmm.
those hormones really keep us alive. I used to have, when I was doing physiology in medical school, first year, we had different lecturers that came and taught us different subjects on different parts of the body. So the heart, you had cardiologists that came and did lectures on that. We had neurologists that taught us about the brain, and they always used to have this argument about what was the most important organ of the
Yeah.
body and what was the most important system of the body. So
Mm-hmm.
if your heart stops, for example, we know that you die, right? Or if your
Mm-hmm.
brain stops and you're brain dead, we know that's very important, but you can be brain dead and actually keep living in a
Mm-hmm.
way, in a
Mm-hmm.
sense, right?
Yeah.
But I remember our endocrinology lecturer would always say, if you basically, if the endocrine system stops or is gone, you cannot survive or you cannot exist. And so he thought
Mm-hmm.
he was the most important person that we needed to listen to
Hey,
consequently, because our hormones basically determine everything. They
that's
keep us
right.
living and we
Yeah.
need them. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. That it was the most simplistic way to explain what hormones are. And my question, going on the story was, so did he win the bet? Did everybody
Well,
thought
do
he
you know
was the most
what?
important?
Over the years, from my own personal experience, and we'll probably talk about this today, I would say
Mm-hmm.
yes, in a way, because literally, for example, let's just talk about the stress hormones, cortisol
Mm-hmm.
and adrenaline and other hormones related to that system, the way
Mm-hmm.
they literally can impact your life, right? I was talking about how I was so busy this week. So my stress hormones are very quite up there. And what was
Mm-hmm.
interesting was I was eating a lot more than I normally do in the evenings. And I
Mm-hmm.
remember last night I was like, why are you doing this? Like normally when I would be going through a stressful period, I tend
Mm-hmm.
not to eat, right? And my
Mm-hmm.
body literally shuts down. But this last week, because there was really a lot going on in different aspects of my life, I was wanting to eat more in the evening. And I had a friend
Mm-hmm.
who was here visiting from New Zealand a couple of weeks ago, and she brought me some chocolate. And I'm not a chocolate person. But I like dark chocolate, and it was like a combination of my favorite dark chocolate with almonds, because I like
Mm-hmm.
nuts. And
Lovely.
so literally every night, and normally in this house, I can have chocolate for months, and I do. I have chocolate that somebody gifted me last December, and I
So,
still have
you're
it.
welcome.
Yes, I still have it. Raffaello, no, Ferrero Rocher white chocolate bowls. I
Yeah.
still have it because I'm not like that. But this week, I was literally finding myself down the stairs in the
Mm.
kitchen, and at some point, I was like, just keep it upstairs so you don't have to go.
You need
So
to
I
bond it by coming down to get it and then eat it and then go back up.
Oh my goodness. And then I say to myself, okay, I must be really stressed because and this is manifesting itself. So our hormones are so powerful. They
Mm.
really dictate a lot of, and sometimes we're not aware of what we're doing and why we're doing it until
Mm-hmm.
we really stop and listen to our brain. And for me, I was like, okay, stop and listening. Listen, what is going on? And I was able to
Mm.
pinpoint, of course, besides the physical and all the other things going on, I was like, oh yeah, I think this is what's happening. And this is
Mm.
just literally cortisol working.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how
Mm-hmm.
powerful our hormones are.
Yeah. Yeah. They are. They're super. I mean, we're talking about hormones, defining a woman's stage, different stages of a woman's life, pregnancy, menopause. They're powerful.
Mhm,
Absolutely, they
mhm.
are powerful. So, talking about hormonal imbalances, right? So, what does that look like or feel like? I know you talked about your experience, yesterday when you're questioning why you're um, eating the dark chocolate and eating at that time of the night. But what would you say that typically looks like for a man and a woman?
Well, because obviously we have hormones that predominantly female, like everybody, men and
Mm,
women, we have estrogen. We can have estrogen and testosterone as well. I mean, the major, shall I say, reproductive hormones that impact us and cause us to become women or men, right?
mm,
Primarily estrogen for women and testosterone for men. So the hormonal imbalance, I'll start with women first of all. So hormonal imbalances, now women's hormones are very complex. We have not just
mm,
estrogen. Estrogen is a
yeah.
hormone that predominantly gets us to menstruate and prepares us for to have children, right? So it's our major reproductive hormones. We have another hormone called progesterone. Progesterone is the hormone that helps you to carry a baby. So when you are in your cycle, I'm going to just quickly talk about this. So when you're in a woman's cycle, usually has 14 days, in which the first 14 days in general, you're preparing for possible pregnancy, so ovulation. And usually, for the majority of people, on average, they might ovulate between day 14, day 16, or 18. And then after that, if there is procreation, and you conceive, you will have a pregnancy. You might have a pregnancy, and in order to sustain that pregnancy over time to full term, you have a hormone called progesterone. So the progesterone is released after day 14. Now, if you are not pregnant, progesterone will drop, and then you will have menstruation and you'll have a period. So when we talk about imbalances with women, primarily the first thing you're looking at is those two hormones, estrogen and progesterone, and how they are working across your cycle. And so sometimes what can happen is we can have what we call estrogen dominance, where you have a lot of estrogen in the body, or you have greater sensitivity to estrogen. And this can cause you to have problems with things like, for example, PCOS, polycystic or ovary syndrome. You can have heavier periods. You might end up having difficulties in terms of fibroids, for example, where you have growths within your uterus. And so with estrogen dominance, this happens a lot. It's quite common. And it's quite common, particularly with women of Afro and Afro-Caribbean heritage. So we have a greater sensitivity to estrogen as well. And it can also be because of our diet, because of our lifestyle, but primarily it's also diet related, toxins in the environment. Now, we this is important because we have estrogen in a lot of things in the environment. So you can have estrogen in plastics. You can have estrogen in water, and how that can happen is that when during in industry, a lot of the chemicals that can end up in water that are being used in industry, in factories, unfortunately, some industries deposit their waste in our water systems, in rivers, and even in the sea. So we can end up ingesting more estrogen through the environment than what our bodies are making. And I would say that this is one of the major reasons why we have this estrogen overload in our bodies, is from environmental toxins, the water, plastics that we use, whether when we use containers that are made from plastics. Plastics have chemicals that are estrogenic in effect, and also we can get excess estrogen from certain foods like dairy. right? Like milk. So people can end up having too much estrogen. And you know, the body is clever. It knows what to do with what it makes itself. And it has systems in place that when you have created or when you've made estrogen and you know during that cycle, it will get rid of what it doesn't need. It will use it
Absolutely.
for making other compounds. But when you
Mm-hmm.
have all this overload, your body doesn't know what to do with it,
Mm-hmm.
and that can
Mm-hmm.
create a lot of problems within
Yeah.
us. I've
Mm-hmm.
already mentioned problems with, for example, fibroids,
Mm-hmm.
and people can have very difficult menses. So that's one
Mm-hmm.
thing that can be happening. We can also, as women, have imbalances because as we get older, we have less estrogen being made by the body because now the body is saying, okay, we are not in a state or we're not going to be having children anymore. So we're going to
Mm-hmm.
drop the production of estrogen. But you can also have a drop in progesterone at the same time because,
Oh, okay.
and many people don't actually realize this because when your body's like, okay, days of making babies are almost coming to an end. And the reason how it knows that is that your eggs are made
Mm-hmm.
in you as when you're born, right? And as you do your cycle, every month you drop one or two eggs, sometimes
Yeah.
more, out
Yeah.
of your ovaries. Your body keeps a count. And then at
Mm-hmm.
some point, it will be like, okay, now we've probably got like 10 eggs left
Mm-hmm.
by the end
Mm-hmm.
of your cycle as a woman and your reproductive cycle as a woman, era as a woman, you still have quite a lot of eggs, but they're no longer
Yeah.
viable, maybe, etc. So your body knows that, and it's like, oh, okay, so we're not going to be getting pregnant, so we also need to drop progesterone.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
when we have a
Yeah.
drop in progesterone, that also creates problems. And this is why we end up maybe with things like hot flushes. We might
Mm-hmm.
have poor sleep, and our energy can drop as well, and we feel more tired. Why? Because during your reproductive years, you need lots of energy, right? You need
Mm-hmm.
to be able to
Mm-hmm.
carry a baby and look after children. And now that you're not having to do that, your body's like conserving energy. And it's like, okay, we don't need to be doing that anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So progesterone can also drop. And
Yeah.
so I know we're going to talk about ideas of what to do with all of this, but
Mm-hmm.
in case I forget, one of the things, and yes, and this is another reason why you probably actually also have difficulties with memory, is that
Mm-hmm.
progesterone issues, right? And your progesterone, and I was talking to a friend yesterday, last night. She had her children later in life, and she was like, "Oh my goodness, she can't keep up with the boys." She's got, and unfortunately, she had boys as well in her 40s, and one of
Ooh.
them is her eldest is 10, she's 50, her eldest is 10, and the younger
Wow.
one is about 6, so, or 7. And she's like, oh my goodness, I can't even brain wise keep up with them
Mm-hmm.
because my brain is a bit fuzzy. She's gone through the menopause already, so
Mm-hmm.
that's
Mm-hmm.
also impacting her. So
Of
our
course.
body starts to do all this energy conservation things,
Mm-hmm.
and it
Mm-hmm.
shifts the way our hormones are being produced and how
Mm-hmm.
much of that we have, and that creates a lot of difficulties within
Mm-hmm.
us as women. So I was saying that what to do, you not only need usually to sort out your estrogen, but more often than not, you also need a supplementation in progesterone as well.
So that's a conversation to be having with your doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they do give you, I mean, a lot of the times you will get hormone replacement therapy. So usually your hormone replacement will have both the estrogen and the
Mm-hmm.
progesterone. You need both. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, if you think you need extra hormones, speak to your doctor. Thank you for that, Edith. So, which of the hormones would you say is the biggest, for lack of better word to use, troublemaker when things go out of balance? And I think I have a guess which one you're going to say, but take
Uh,
it away.
cortisol?
Yeah, that's the one.
Oh, stress. Yeah, stress hormone. And we'll talk about this because it affects everyone. It's not just about women, right? Everybody
Oh,
has
no, no.
cortisol. We need
Absolutely.
cortisol for
We
life.
do. We do.
And we need cortisol to get us going in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
So when you
Mm-hmm.
get up in the morning, your body is like, yay, let's go out there and do life. And in
Mm-hmm.
order to do life, you need to get
Yeah.
up and go. And in order
Yeah.
to get up and go, you need cortisol. Cortisol is made in our adrenal glands. And so your adrenals will release cortisol to quicken your
Mm-hmm.
heart, get
Yeah.
you breathing, quicken your brain, get your muscles ready for action. And
That's
if we
right.
think of the stress hormones, right? We know, some of us may know what is called the flight and fight response. So your
Mm-hmm.
flight is, let's say you saw a dog coming at you, and you needed to run. Oh, you saw a snake. We are in England, and generally we don't see snakes here. But I did see a snake in Norfolk one time.
Mm.
So I was
Okay.
walking, yes, I was walking in Hayeswood, and I heard the snake before I saw it. Now,
Mm-hmm.
some of you might be like, "How?" Because, but I've lived in Africa, so I know what snakes
Yeah.
sound like,
Yeah. The
right? A
hissing.
snake going
Yeah.
through the grass. So I heard the
Uh-huh.
snake, and I was walking with a friend, and I say to her, "Oh, there's a snake." And she's like,
Is it
"Where?"
right now?
When she
Huh?
hadn't heard it, right? And I said, "It's probably behind us." And so as we did that, of course, immediately we moved. And as
Yeah.
we did that, the snake went past us.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a grass snake. It was a
Okay.
viper. It was a viper. It was a viper.
Oh,
Because
wow.
England does have vipers. Yeah, it does have vipers. Now, they won't kill you. We're not in Australia, thank God. But if we were in Australia, we would have probably not had the same fate. So so
Fight
so
or
anyway,
flight.
yeah, we decided not to be going in the same direction as the snake. So we moved
Nope.
away and went back, and we got back to where we were. And I remember telling the manager there, I was like, "Oh, there are snakes here," and he's like, "Yeah, there are snakes." And I said, "Yeah." So now we had confirmation that we saw people there. But yes, so if you do see a snake, or if you saw a snake, your first instinct would be to get away from the danger. And so your body
Mm-hmm.
needs you to run. It needs you to flee from it. And what it's going to do
That's
is going
right.
to release the cortisol, it's going to release the adrenaline, and it will send
Mm-hmm.
this. Remember, we said hormones are messengers, which will tell your
Yeah.
muscles that, hey, we need to strengthen your muscles,
Oh,
to
that's
increase the
right.
tension in your
Mm-hmm.
muscles so that you can run, because floppy muscles don't do
Yeah.
anything. And it will also get your
Mm-hmm.
brain, tell your brain, think, be more alert. So your eyes pop
Mm-hmm.
open, your brain starts thinking of what to do,
Yeah.
and then it also
Calculating.
gets your heart to beat faster. So it sends
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
message to certain parts of your heart to say, hey, we need more. We need to work harder so we can get more
Mm-hmm.
blood going to the muscles. It also
Mm-hmm.
tells your lungs to breathe faster
Mm-hmm.
so you get more oxygen that you will send to the blood to get your blood, your muscles to have the oxygen in order for you to either run away, or should you choose to
Mm-hmm.
stand your ground and fight the snake, you can do so and
Yep.
win. So
The
that's
choice.
the job of cortisol, to get you to be safe and prepare you for
Yes.
danger
Yes.
and get you away from
Yes.
danger. And
Yes.
at the same time, you also have adrenaline, which is, which works, in the similar fashion to cortisol.
Mm-hmm.
So they're
Mm-hmm.
protective. They are meant to help you. But the problem becomes when, one, we have either chronic stress,
Yes.
and we're constantly secreting that cortisol through the body. And I spoke
Mm-hmm.
about all the different organs that are impacted by cortisol, right? Your heart, your
Mm-hmm.
lungs, your
Mm-hmm.
muscles, your
Yeah.
kidneys, your
Your
stomach as
brain.
well, your liver,
Yes.
your brain. So
Mm-hmm.
if you have a continual, right, flow of cortisol to the body, because maybe you're experiencing continuous stress,
Mm-hmm.
then these organs are constantly either on high alert, or they're
Mm-hmm.
constantly working harder than they should be. And this
That's
can
correct.
lead to you having fatigue in your body.
Mm-hmm.
It can cause
Mm-hmm.
damage to your organs. It can,
Mm-hmm.
for example, because you need your blood pressure to go up when you're stressed, when your heart is beating harder and faster, that raises your blood
Mm-hmm.
pressure. So if you are constantly stressed, that can increase the blood pressure over time, and cause you to have
Yes.
chronic hypertension. It can also
Mm-hmm.
cause you to end up having problems with blood sugar, because remember, your muscles use sugar in order for you to
Mm-hmm.
move the energy that's required. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
constantly calling on your body to have sugar in your bloodstream, that can cause you to have high blood sugar in your bloodstream all the time, which can lead you to having problems, right? Metabolic issues. It can cause problems with
Mm-hmm.
your pancreas. It can cause problems with your
Yeah.
liver, right?
Mm.
And it can also lead to fatigue, what we call
Yeah.
adrenal fatigue.
The
Because
fatigue. Yeah.
if your adrenal glands are constantly emitting this, eventually it's like when you have a pump and you're
Mm.
constantly using it.
Mm.
What eventually happens is it runs out
Mm.
of what it has. And when
Mm.
your adrenal glands have run out of what to make the cortisol with, and the cortisol
Mm-hmm.
itself, you get to a place where you are just fatigued all the time and you can't get up and go. You can't get up in the
Mm.
morning. You are so tired. And
Mm-hmm.
I remember having that experience some years ago. I was going through probably life, I'll just call it that. And I found myself every morning not wanting to get out of bed.
Mm.
Number one, I was
Mm.
literally rolling out of
Mm.
bed, like when it was almost time to go to work.
Mm.
And I was very tearful. I was crying for nothing. I was just like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, because I didn't realize it, but when you're tired, you're and you don't have enough of that get up and go, emotionally, you have that fatigue as well, because also your brain is tired.
Yes.
So I was
Mm-hmm.
really struggling
Yes,
with
right.
life. I was really struggling to get up, and I had somebody look at my hormones, and we discovered that I was flatlining, which was kind of scary. And
Mm.
well, basically I had to slow down. I had to get my life back to a place where
Mm.
I would give my body a chance and give myself rest. And I did, and it helped.
Mm. Man, well done. Wow. Cortisol. Yeah, I always get a bad rap. We need it, but we just don't need it to be on constant production all the time.
Right.
And my next question was, to ask what are some of the common causes of hormonal disruption, and you've already touched on stress, which of course also leads to lack of proper sleep. Can you
Mhm.
talk a bit about our diet and maybe some toxins that you know of?
Well, diet is very important. Obviously, I'll tell you something that's very interesting. I learned this a long time ago that um, I worked a lot in mental health. And one of the
Mm,
things I used to do in my practice, I was working in the community, was when people came and they were very anxious, very stressed,
mm,
or depressed, I always looked and got them to look at what they were eating and got them to
mm,
look at what they were drinking. I just saw Yinka, you had a drink there. I don't know what's in your cup, but I would often ask people how much caffeine they were having and in their
mm-hmm,
diet, because caffeine acts as an almost in the same capacity as what our stress hormones do. It
mm,
is an
mm.
exciter,
Yes.
chemical that gets
Mm-hmm,
your body to do that flight and fight that we just discovered, that we just spoke about. And so it
mm,
increases the level of stress in your body, especially synthetic caffeine. Now, there's certain
mm,
amounts of caffeine that we can have safely, like from natural ingredients like green tea,
mm,
and they're not in high quantities. But a lot of people are either starting their day on caffeine, maybe a mug of coffee. And, it's become very
mm,
popular nowadays for people to have espresso machines in their homes.
mm, mm,
And I know it's coming up to Christmas, and people will be getting gifts and giving gifts that
mm.
are probably related to caffeine and
Yes.
our caffeine habits as a world. And so
Mm,
some people literally start their day like that, by
mm,
giving them a shot, as they call it,
mm,
into their bloodstream of caffeine that gets their heart pumping. It
mm,
gets, and does all those things that we spoke about. And that increases the amount of stress that you actually have in your body, or that you are
mm,
experiencing in your body. And, you know, as a result, there was a lot of people that I would see that were quite anxious, that were
mm,
very stressed, or that we're on edge all the time. Remember, we say that cortisol eventually um, it will use up all your energy resources and so on, and until you get to that place of fatigue, right? It
Mm-hmm.
exhausts you. And
Mm-hmm.
if you have it all the time, so imagine if you're having another additional food item or a chemical in your body that is creating the same effect that cortisol is doing. So you're basically
Mm-hmm.
exhausting more of your body's energy
Yeah,
resources.
quicker.
And
Yeah.
right, and you're getting to that point where you're going to have that fatigue. And whenever we're fatigued, we're more irritable, we're more anxious, we're more likely to be depressed as well. So what I would
Mm-hmm.
often
Mm-hmm.
do is I would ask people, how much caffeine are you having? And believe it or not, there would be sometimes people would be having like 25 cups of coffee. I remember a gentleman that I once worked with, and he was having 25 cups of tea a day.
Not,
And
not, not, not
no,
herbal tea, but like tea.
yeah, yeah, black tea, black tea, black tea. And this
Okay.
was Irish black tea. And I can tell you that Irish black tea is very strong. And
Mm-hmm.
so he was doing this every day. And so he had issues with anger. So I was seeing him for anger management. That's what we were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And he would flare up at anything and at everyone. He'd be walking on
Wow.
the streets and basically get into fights with people, punch someone in the face because they looked at him wrong. And
Oh
I'm like,
wow.
what do you mean they looked at you
Wow.
wrong? Sometimes you're just passing by, so you don't know. And we see a lot of stuff like that happening out there where people are getting road rage and getting
Mm-hmm.
into confrontations with strangers because
Mm-hmm.
people are just so wound up. They're already on edge. So I
Yes.
would get people to get off the coffee. Number
Mm-hmm.
one, get off the caffeine, get off any other things that are in your diet. Sugar is a stressor. People
Mm-hmm.
may not realize this. Sugar is also another. That's why when we give children like high sugar foods, high sugar
Mm.
drinks, they get very hyper. They're all
That's
over the
right. Yeah.
place, right?
Yeah.
So it
Mm-hmm.
also mimics and adds to that process that you would have with cortisol, and it makes the body exhausted. It makes the body unwell. So those are some
Mm-hmm.
of the like dietary things I would be looking at. So caffeine and sugar, and also refined foods. Now, why is this
Mm-hmm.
important and how do they impact you? So your refined
Uh-huh.
foods that have got fiber removed, that have been so processed that they don't have enough vitamin B6. B6 is
Mm-hmm.
important for the way we use our food. And when we don't have enough B6 and we don't have enough of the B vitamins, your body
Mm.
needs to find them from somewhere. Those
Yes.
vitamins are important for metabolism. And so
Mm-hmm.
when we don't have those vitamins, I'll just in a short, just say it in short, because the process might be a bit complex for the time that we have. Basically, you will be more anxious. You're going to
Mm.
be more stressed. They're
Mm-hmm.
important for our nervous system and how our nervous system
Yes.
functions.
Yes.
B12 is important as well. And that
Mm-hmm.
is an important vitamin that when people are getting treatment for depression, we often would look at that, how much B12 you have. And if you have a deficiency, it can actually be impacting how you feel, how happy you
Uh-huh.
feel, and it impacts
Mm-hmm.
your hormones as well. So those are some
Mm-hmm.
of the things. So what I would say is that to mitigate that, you want to eat as much as possible wholesome foods, whole grains,
Mm-hmm.
that are not overly processed. Eat lots of vegetables, eat your blueberries and other foods that support brain health and your nervous system health, and also the production of
Mm-hmm.
your hormones.
Yes. I always say it's a rainbow. Yeah. So that way
Yes.
you're
Yes.
getting everything. You're getting everything. Yeah.
And part of the rainbow, because hormones, a lot of our hormones are fatty acid based. So you want to be
Mm-hmm.
eating things like avocados. You want to
Yes.
be having good nuts like
Mm.
almonds, walnuts,
That's right.
Brazilian
Yeah.
nuts. They're
Mm-hmm.
important not just for making sort of, the good hormones, but they're also important for making our reproductive hormones, like
Mm-hmm.
the estrogen as well as the
Mm-hmm.
testosterone. We haven't spoken about
Yeah.
men's hormones actually, but yes,
Yeah.
that is important. Brazilian nuts are great for men's hormones, and
Mm-hmm.
as well as your almonds and avocados and oily fish. Very important
Mm-hmm.
for hormone production.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yes. So get in the nuts and the seeds and the oily fish, ladies and gentlemen. Yes. Right. You said we have, yeah, and in fact, we have not really touched on the men's hormone. So perhaps you want to talk to us a bit about, the men's one, maybe the testosterone, for example.
Right, right. So we know that men's health or men's health is not just related to, obviously eating and exercise is important, but their hormones as men get older. While I was preparing for this, I was like looking up menopause, as in men pause,
Mm-hmm.
and menopause for
Menopause.
women and menopause. And so the NHS, I was
Menopause.
reading on the NHS website, there was like, there's no such thing as menopause for men, da da da. I was like, okay, fine, be nice to yourselves. It's okay. But the truth is that testosterone also starts to decrease for men
Mm-hmm.
with
Mm-hmm.
age until in the late 40s, early 50s. The levels for some men have gone down so much that it begins to impact various things. For example,
Yes.
muscles,
Mm-hmm.
right? Muscle bulk. It also impacts libido, very
Yes.
important for
Mm-hmm.
men. It also begins to impact their brain and memory, just in the same way. Because remember, the estrogen and testosterone are youth hormones, right? And when
Mm-hmm.
we're younger, we're more alert, we're quicker thinking, and so on. But
Yes.
as we get older and we have that reduction for women, we know what's happening with that. But for men as well, they begin to have a reduction over the years. At least it was saying at least 1% per year
Mm-hmm.
reduction in
Yeah.
testosterone.
Testosterone.
And
Yeah.
yeah, until you get to your 50s, 40s, late 40s, late 50s. So there are shifts happening. And that's where we might see men growing boobs, men
Mm-hmm.
boobs.
Menopause.
Um, yeah, men boobs. So there's more of an emphasis on the estrogen. Remember, we said everybody has estrogen and testosterone, right?
Testosterone.
And
Yeah.
men have a lot more testosterone, and women have a lot more estrogen. We also
Testosterone.
have testosterone, which is
Yes.
an interesting thing that you discover as you get older. That, for example, some women, because you have more testosterone and more sensitivity to testosterone, a lot of women, as they get older, that testosterone can get converted, like with men,
Mm-hmm.
into DHT, which causes hair loss for
Yes.
women,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because you had more testosterone,
That's all right.
probably,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, than other women might have. So men also experience those changes, and their testosterone also gets converted, and that's when they start losing the hair.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And besides the men boobs and the loss of muscle bulk
Mm-hmm.
as well. So there are also changes and shifts, and it can also impact their mood. So they
Yeah.
can be going through emotional swings. Um, I'm sure men would like to believe that they don't have mood swings, but we would
Mm-hmm.
like to say that we have seen men
Otherwise,
having mood swings.
that's right. Yes, we have. Yeah.
um Maybe not in the same vein as women might when they're going through menopause,
Mm-hmm.
right? Not in the to
Yeah.
the same extent, because menopause can be quite serious in terms of the emotional upheavals for women. But men too can go through mood swings and have emotional challenges, emotional difficulties, which may be tied in to midlife crisis.
Yes.
I had somebody call me, a friend who is in their early 50s thereabouts, and they are going through a midlife crisis. I say, what's going on? And they said, oh, everything's wrong. They feel
Mm-hmm.
alone, they feel this, they feel that, and so on. And my mother did this and my father did this, and I'm like, seriously, this is a 50 something year old man, right? And so I was like, you need to go for therapy. You need to go talk
Mm-hmm.
to somebody. And it's not unusual for us in those phases for us to start thinking about things that probably we shouldn't be thinking about, like things that happened in
Mm-hmm.
childhood,
Yes,
because we are probably in a more contemplative state. We're
that's
in a
right.
place where we're reflective more. And for a lot
Mm-hmm.
of people, maybe the children have left home. You have more time
Mm.
on your hands. and now you're starting to think, where could you be, where should you have been,
Then,
maybe in terms
yeah.
of your career, maybe in
Mm-hmm.
terms of your physical health, maybe in terms of financial stability, and all of
Mm-hmm.
those things now also begin to impact our cortisol levels as well.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're also having a reduction in the reproductive hormones. So a lot can be going on for men as well. And that's an important, and combined with certain lifestyles, lack of exercise,
Mm-hmm.
sedentary lifestyles
Mm-hmm.
in our 40s and 50s, plus poor diet, and
Yes.
also diabetes. So diabetes and high blood pressure, all those conditions can also impact our hormones and cause us to feel, not as good as we might have done in our 30s or in our 20s.
Yes, absolutely as well. Thank you. Thank you for that, Edith. Thank you. So my next question, hormones and weight. So why can the imbalance or imbalances in our hormones make losing weight feel almost
More
impossible?
difficult.
Mm.
Well, for a number of reasons, I'll start with women. I've just spoken about men and how
Uh-huh.
testosterone is important, and for women as well, is important
Hmm.
for muscles, right? And one
Yes.
of the things that we know is that muscles actually use more energy.
Mm-hmm.
Muscles, when we have more muscles, we tend to burn fat more because it
More.
is the muscles that are actually doing that work. And we
Mm-hmm.
utilize more of the food that we eat, the energy that we have through our muscles, right? So when you now have a reduction in muscle bulk because of a drop in estrogen, in testosterone, you're likely to now struggle to get rid of the fat that you might have accumulated and have got rid of much easier in the past. So that's one thing. The second part of that is that with a drop in estrogen, as we get older, particularly with women, you also have a drop in thyroid function. So your thyroid
Mm.
slows
Yes.
down as well. So, your thyroid releases certain hormones,
Mm-hmm.
thyroxine. So you've got different hormones, and those hormones that the thyroid releases are important for life and function. So I go back to my professor in medical school when he used to talk about the different hormones, and of course he thought he was the most important of our lecturers. But we would often talk about which of the hormones are crucial as well.
Mm-hmm.
So we're
Mm-hmm.
talking about the life hormones, for example, the thyroid hormones. Those are
Thyroid.
so
Yeah.
important, right? Because they're the ones that give you energy, that also
Mm-hmm.
support you. And we know that there's a relationship between your thyroid, your adrenal gland, and
Mm-hmm.
your hypothalamus. So your hypothalamus is literally
That's
one of
what
the
this.
master glands. So hypothalamus
Mm-hmm.
and your pituitary gland
Mm-hmm.
and your thyroid gland, as well as your adrenals. So they are connected. And
Mm-hmm.
so when your thyroid function slows down, your energy is going to
Mm.
slow down, your metabolism is
Absolutely.
going to slow down. So what
Yes.
that means is that your muscles, your body is not burning the energy, the food that you were eating. It's not
Mm-hmm.
utilizing it as much. And once it's
Mm.
not burning it, your body has to convert it to fat, and it
Mm-hmm.
will hold on to what you already have. And so you
Mm.
begin to grow weight and fat around your midline. You start to have
Yeah.
more weight around your belly. And the reason for that is your liver is primarily responsible for that process, right? Of
Mm-hmm.
of storing fat. And the liver is in the middle. So it tends
Mm.
to keep the weight around near where it is. So it will deposit it in the cells around your abdomen. And
Mm-hmm.
particularly it will begin to deposit what we call visceral fat, which is deeper down, not just the superficial fat that you might get like just under your skin, but this is
Mm-hmm.
fat that is close to your organs. So this becomes
Mm-hmm.
more prevalent as we get older. And that's because we have
Mm.
that drop in metabolism,
Mm-hmm.
and because of our thyroid function and related to
Yeah.
our estrogen. I was
Mhm.
talking to someone, and I was saying it seems that like procreation is such an important thing, right?
Absolutely.
and 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 the body has this thing, and I know for women this might sound weird, like, well, we made to just have babies. No, but as a female, um
Mm.
as a female, and whether it's an animal, whatever, this is one of the major roles that females have in,
Mm-hmm.
in creation. And so
Literally.
that process, once it's no longer necessarily happening, the body
Mm-hmm.
is not going to be you having the energy that it had initially, especially in the initial phases.
Mm-hmm.
After you've done the menopause thing,
Yeah.
things might change. But during that
That's
phase, when
balance out.
your body is, yeah, your body's going, oh,
Adjustment.
okay, we need to slow, yeah, we're adjusting, we need
Mm-hmm.
to slow things down, we need to slow things down, we
Mm-hmm.
need to slow things down.
Yeah.
And so that's one of the reasons why you put on that weight and you're not
Mm-hmm.
getting rid of it as easily.
Mm, yeah, absolutely. Wow. Okay. So we've heard it. It's all about the hypothalamus, the pituitary gland, the adrenal gland, and the thyroid. So we need to get them working and working well for ourselves. Excellent. So again, sorry, you're going to say something.
No, no, go on, Yinka.
Okay, right.
All right, yeah.
So we've talked about all these imbalances. And okay, yes, so I have, or I think I have hormonal imbalance. When should I seek help or get tested for? You did say you had to have a test done. So when would you say or suggest to someone to have a test done?
Well, what I did was I have a friend who's a homeopathic doctor,
Mm-hmm.
and nurse. So she recommended, she's a nurse actually, and she recommended that I see a homeopathic doctor. Now, he was formerly a GP and in
Mm-hmm.
his retirement decided to do homeopathy. So when I spoke to him, because I was really feeling crappy, and when I spoke to him, he was like, okay, we need to do this test called the Dutch test. So
Mm-hmm.
what I had to do was check my urine. It was like you do over like 35 days, if I remember
Yes.
correctly, and my saliva as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I
Mm-hmm.
had to do like these samples of saliva and urine, like in the morning at certain times of the day, etc., and then send it off. And
Mm-hmm.
then it went off to the labs, and then he read it for me. Like I didn't, it came back and it was a very complex thing. Like it literally looked at all my hormones in terms of
Mm-hmm.
estrogen, testosterone, all the other hormones that are related to reproduction as well as energy. It
Mm-hmm.
basically makes this list and tells you where you're at. And that's how, and
Mm-hmm.
cortisol and everything. And that's how I was able to know what was happening. And now, why is it important? Because we say that cortisol is important for getting up and going. So in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
you have higher levels of cortisol.
That's
They
right.
should go down as the day goes. But if
That's
your
right. Yeah.
cortisol levels stay up all day and then into the night, this
Mm-hmm.
is where we have problems
Mm-hmm.
sleeping, right? This is where we're going
Mm-hmm.
to have
Yeah.
challenges sleeping, right? So
Yeah.
the test will be able to tell you, like, I can't remember exact times, but in the morning, how much cortisol you had, and
Mm-hmm.
and then in the course of the month, how much your estrogen, what your
Mm-hmm.
estrogen was, what your progesterone was, and it also does things like the fertility hormones, like
Mm-hmm.
checking your luteinizing hormone and follicle
Mm-hmm.
stimulating hormones. So it does all of that. And then
Yeah.
he read it for me, and then he suggested certain things, gave me certain prescriptions, which I
Mm-hmm.
was able to get, and that really helped me a lot. So over the years, he's been very useful in helping me adjust to
Mm-hmm.
perimenopause as well.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always consulted with him. So I would say speak to your GP if you want something more than what basic services give you. You can
Mm-hmm.
go online, and there are quite a number of physicians where you might pay privately and find somebody that can actually do the more complex hormonal checks that you might
Mm-hmm.
be interested in getting. You can get lots of
Mm-hmm.
that, and I guess with time it's probably become more affordable for people to get these things.
Yes. Yeah.
So
That's
yeah,
true.
you can
Mm-hmm.
Google female. There are a lot of female clinics, female health clinics, and those female
Mm-hmm.
health clinics can do those tests for you and check what's going on
Mm-hmm.
in your body and then give you the right treatments.
Mm. Well, thank you. We said female, so what about the male?
I would say you could do the same. You could find clinics that support male hormonal
Yeah.
health, and they will
Mm-hmm.
be able to support you as well in giving you the right diagnosis if there's a serious problem or if there's a
Yeah.
problem, and also the right treatments for whatever
Mm.
your issue might be.
Yeah. To get the balance back, ladies and gentlemen, get the
Yeah.
balance back. we feel human again. Right.
And you know what? Talking
Uh,
about that,
yeah.
I often see women with like fans. I don't
Yeah,
have
yeah,
one,
we have them on our
right?
third hand, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm like, why are you allowing yourself to have this pain, right? And some people think that, and we were talking about balance, some people think that it's okay to be aggravated for the rest of like the next 10 years. And you should just do it because your
Sometimes,
mother did it, your grandmother
yeah.
did it, all womanhood has done it. So why should you make it better for yourself? But the truth of the matter is that these imbalances can be fixed and you can get help so that you
Mm,
don't have to be sleeping poorly. And here's the thing that happens a lot, and I'm going to talk about male female hormones and health,
mm,
is that while you are not sleeping because your hormones are out of balance, you
yeah.
are damaging your health, because
Mm-hmm.
sleep is so important for your brain
Absolutely.
health and for
Absolutely.
your heart health, for
Mm-hmm.
your
Mm-hmm.
emotional well being. And if you decide that you're not going to fix your hormones by simple, whatever simple remedies that might be out there that can help you, and you can speak to your
Mm-hmm.
doctor about getting natural hormone therapy if you want, but you are basically damaging yourself. And I remember watching a podcast some time ago where this physician was talking about dementia in women and why more women tend to have more Alzheimer's than men. And
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
through the many studies that she's done and other people, they realized that the damage to the brain starts during perimenopause
Yes.
and
Yes.
menopause,
Yes. Yeah.
and it is linked to the drops in estrogen, right? And
Mm-hmm.
this imbalance that we're talking about. So what we might say, oh, I've got memory fog, I went downstairs and I couldn't remember why I came downstairs, and we laugh about it,
Mm-hmm.
right? But
Mm-hmm.
hey, while you're doing that for the next 10 years or however long perimenopause and menopause might last, perimenopause might last for you, what you're doing is setting yourself up for possible long-term neurological damage to your brain
Mm-hmm.
because of the importance of estrogen to our health. But also you are going to have poor sleep, you're
Mm-hmm.
up and down with that. And sleep is so crucial. Sleep is so crucial to your health that
Absolutely.
you
Absolutely.
need to do something. So if you don't care about being hot and you don't mind having hot flashes, think about your brain. Think about you and your heart. That is more
Yeah.
important.
Very
Those are
important.
so
Absolutely.
important for you to consider getting
Mm-hmm.
some help with regards to
Mm-hmm.
balancing your hormones.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that, Edith. And we're not saying just, about medication. And that brings me to my next question. What are some of the first practical lifestyle changes you would recommend for us to start rebalancing our hormones naturally?
Well, sleep, number one. So,
Hmm. Having
yes,
a good sleep hygiene.
yes, sleep is so important. I would say that's a lesson for me. I'm speaking, preaching to myself right there. Sleep is so crucial. We need to sleep. That's number one. Sleep impacts your cortisol levels, because when you're not sleeping, it aggravates the body. It tells
Mhm.
your adrenals that something is wrong, because that's why we're not sleeping, because your brain's like, okay, we're not sleeping because something is amiss. And if
That's
something is
right.
amiss, we need even more cortisol, right? So that we can stay more awake. And so sleep is number one. That's the first thing. And when you're depriving yourself of sleep, you're also not having certain other hormones happening in your body, like melatonin. So
Hmm.
when we go to bed, melatonin is released between the hours of during dark hours, but mostly between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. So during those 4 hours, those are the most crucial for our health. Your body is regenerating, restoring itself,
Hmm.
resetting
Yeah.
itself, and giving you the rest that you need. And if we are awake during those hours, we're not having melatonin being released and creating that
Hmm.
health effect that we
Hmm.
want to
Yes,
support our
right.
bodies with. we're more likely to be depressed as well. So you don't want that. You want to sleep. That's number one lifestyle thing that you want to be doing. Secondly, there are foods that we can eat that are supportive of more estrogen in our body in a healthy way. So when we've had that drop in estrogen, you might want to eat more of what we call so like phytoestrogenic foods like cabbage and broccoli and soy. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I know this soy gets a bad rap, but
It
what
does.
actually is a problem is GMO soy, and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
our soy on the market is actually genetically modified. So that is the problem. So, but what
Mm-hmm.
you want is soybeans, especially if you get organic soybeans, the fresh ones, to include that in your diet, include more broccoli and foods that have what we call isoflavones. So,
Flavorings, yes.
yes, yes. So you want to have a lot of foods like that. So your broccolis, your Brussels sprouts, and you might
Mm.
want to have sprouted seeds of
That's right,
Brussels,
yes. Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
They have
Yeah.
more of the those phytoestrogens, the plant estrogens that
Mm-hmm.
you can get, and you want to eat more of that. So start with your diet. Start eating more
Mm-hmm.
of the cruciferous family, right? So your broccoli, cabbage, your red cabbage, your Brussels sprouts,
Mm-hmm.
that family which we don't like. Um,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I used to hate
Um.
Brussels sprouts. I hated Brussels sprouts. I grew up hating them. I used to say, "Oh, these
Oh,
little cabbages,
mini
little cabbages."
cabbages. I
Yeah, we
love
call them
them.
little cabbages. In our house, we call them little cabbages. We're
Yeah.
like, why would you want to eat those little cabbages? And then I came to Europe and I lived in Ireland, and there was nothing but cabbage in the stores in those days. And we're used to having kale and different
Mm-hmm.
spinaches, right? And now you come to Europe, and in those days, this was in the early 2000s, the only thing I could find in the supermarket was cabbage and some form of spinach, but not the spinach that we know, like the big leaf,
Yeah.
which is Swiss chard actually.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
so I ended up learning to eat Brussels sprouts
Yeah.
because at Christmas they came out. And to be honest, I still really eat them at Christmas. I buy
Mm.
Brussels sprouts in season, like at Christmas time. I
Mm.
get a bit excited. I'm like, oh,
The
gonna
little
load up on
cabbages.
my estrogen, gonna have my Brussels sprouts, and I just do a couple of meals. I'm like, I hate these little cabbages. I
You are not encouraging us to eat them little cabbages.
eat the little cabbages. Eat
I
the
like
little.
them actually. Yeah, I like them. I found creative ways to eat them. When they're in
Really?
season
What do
as
you
well.
do?
Yeah. I
What do
shred
you
it.
do?
Sometimes I actually sit there and just shred it, and I add some red onions to it. Then sometimes I put raisins in there, or even grapes, and then just drizzle some nice healthy salad dressing on there. Voila,
Like
good.
raw, raw.
Yeah, I eat it raw that way, or when it gets roasted, I eat it that like that as well. But I don't like it when it's overdone and mushy mushy. I still
Yeah,
like
I
a bit
think
of
I
crunch.
had them. They were overdone and mushy in Ireland. It's Christmas time. You would have Christmas
Yeah, they
dinners,
usually
and they
are,
were
aren't
always overly cooked. And I was like, but I
they?
do like them roasted. I've seen like
Yeah.
nice recipes, and that's when I would do them like
Yes.
roasted
Yeah.
with garlic and cashew nuts, and I'll mix them up with
Yeah.
other
Cashew
things.
nuts.
Yeah.
That's I forgot to mention that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice and
I'm just
crunchy.
thinking of a recipe actually now. I'm just thinking, you got that pomegranate syrup that you can get that you use in salad dressing. I think that would be nice with the Brussels sprouts. I'm just actually thinking of that. That's something
Okay.
I must try. Yeah.
Try it out and let's know how that goes. Yeah.
Yeah, I must try that. But anyway, eat the little cabbages. They're
Yeah,
good for
please.
you. And if you can
Mm-hmm.
get sprouted seeds of the Brussels sprouts and even other sprouted seeds, soybeans, you can sprout your own beans
Yes.
if you
It's
want.
easy. It's
Hmm.
so easy.
Sprout
Yeah.
your own soybeans. And if you can't do that, just you can buy sprouted beans. You can
Yeah.
freeze
Yeah.
them
Exactly.
and
Mm-hmm.
and just take them out when you want and add them to your smoothies. And
Mm-hmm.
because the seeds are the most powerful A seed is the most powerful thing on planet Earth, right? So
Yes.
much energy in a seed. So you want to eat the raw seeds would be
Yeah.
really good. So those are some of the
Mm,
foods that I would recommend that you
mm,
basically eat a lot of. It's a good thing as well. We spoke about protein and we spoke
mm-hmm.
about muscles, right? So
Yeah,
you
muscles.
want to maintain muscle mass. So
Mm-hmm.
healthy lean protein is a good thing to be including in your diet, especially
Yeah.
have more protein. As we get older, I always say to people, as we get older, we don't need carbohydrates as such because
Mm-hmm.
we do need energy, but we don't need energy like we did when we were children and we were running around. And so a child could eat
Mm-hmm.
like bread and rice and things like that. But what we actually need now more of are the micronutrients.
Mm-hmm.
Protein
Yes.
is a nutrient. We need it for muscle, maintaining our muscles, especially as we
Mm-hmm.
exercise. But also, we need micronutrients, and micronutrients are found in fruits, vegetables,
Mm-hmm.
nuts,
Vegetables.
and
Yes.
seeds.
Yes.
That's where we
Yeah.
find those micronutrients. What's important for your
Mm-hmm.
eyes, what's important for your brain health, what's important for your skin health, what's important for your hair, and what's important for keeping things just nice and firm and you looking good, keeping the glow on. That all those micronutrients are from vitamins and minerals. We get them more from nuts, fruits, seeds, and also vegetables.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, eat the rainbow and add some nuts and seeds and healthy fats to your meals. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, I know time is fast spent, but we're nearly there. It's a topic I like I say it's close to home, and I don't think I can ever get tired of talking about hormones and hormonal imbalances and how we can balance those hormones. So just briefly, what would you say about exercise in helping to balance hormones and what type of exercise or exercises are most useful?
Well, the most useful exercise you do is the one you do, right?
I know you're gonna say that.
Yes, so knowing about exercise, we all know we should be exercising.
Yes, we
So the
do.
most useful exercise, even if it's a walk, even if it's
Yeah.
a run, even if it's, 10 minutes this way, 10 minutes that way, because sometimes we think, oh, I gotta do 30 minutes, but think of your 30 minutes or more. Actually, we know we should do more nowadays. So
Oh,
we
yeah,
actually know
yeah.
we should do more than 30 minutes. But just to make it easy for all of us, even if you think, okay, 30 minutes is a 15-minute walk in that direction and a
That's right.
15-minute walk back. So think of it
Mm-hmm.
as 15 minutes out of the house
Mm-hmm.
and 15
Mm-hmm.
minutes back.
Mm-hmm.
And then it won't feel so bad, right? Or it won't feel
Absolutely.
so much like a drudgery. I have to
Yeah.
exercise. No,
Yeah.
actually, you love to exercise. And so this is the other
Mm-hmm.
thing that I always say to people when we
In
change
that
our
mindset.
language when we
Mm-hmm.
change our language about anything, like our little Brussels sprouts friends. I love
Yeah.
Brussels sprouts. Oh,
I
I love
know.
Brussels
That's
sprouts.
so cute.
Brussels sprouts are so cute. They're so tasty. They have a unique taste.
Absolutely. I have a unique taste.
Right? So think of Brussels sprouts as this wonderful little creature that with a unique taste that actually does you a lot of good. We're not talking about this right
Yes.
now, but Brussels sprouts are
Mm-hmm.
one of the foods that we know are supportive to prevent cancer. So,
Mm-hmm.
there's so much good in Brussels sprouts. So I would say change your language about exercise and you'll find that you love doing that.
Yes.
And that's one of the
Mm-hmm.
things that I've always been someone who loved being out and about and exercising anyway. But whenever I felt like I didn't want to do it, I'd be just like, oh, I
Mm-hmm.
love exercise. I love getting out.
Yeah.
I love being in the fresh air. It's nice and crisp.
Mm-hmm.
And if I can't be
Mm-hmm.
out, I'll go to the gym when it's raining. Like today, it was raining, but yeah, exercise, the most important exercise is what you do. But also, we know that when we do aerobic exercise, it helps us to de stress because it
Mm-hmm.
utilizes that muscle tension. It gets us to relax more. And we want to be
Yeah.
exercising in a manner where we breathe in a lot of oxygen. So being
Mm-hmm.
outdoors and doing aerobic exercise
Beautiful.
will actually is very helpful for lowering stress and your stress
Yeah.
hormones and
Mm-hmm.
helping you relax. So I highly recommend that in terms of just balancing your stress hormones and getting rid of that muscular tension is exercise that gets you to contract and relax, because you're getting rid of
Mm-hmm.
that lactic acid in your muscles. But other thing as well that is really useful is for us to engage in stretching. Stretching
Yes.
not only helps you with flexibility, but also stretching releases lactic acid
Mm-hmm.
buildup. It gets rid of that lactic acid, and that's really helpful for reducing pain, but also for helping you relax. So that's
Yes,
a very important
absolutely.
thing that I
Mm.
know that will be helpful for many of us. And
Mm.
doing exercises like Pilates,
Mm-hmm.
highly recommend that because it's not as stressful on your joints. It's not stressful on
Mm.
your joints, literally, but it also helps you with your breathing. And breathing
Mm-hmm.
is key to balancing our body's um,
Mm.
uh, chemicals.
Hormones.
Uh,
Yes. Yeah.
mhm. Breathing is important because it helps us get in more oxygen, and it helps us
Mm-hmm.
release, the
Substance.
carbon dioxide, which helps our
Yeah.
muscles to be more relaxed,
Mm.
and it helps us
Mm.
to make think about we didn't talk about this particular set of hormones, but while you have the hormones that get you going, like adrenaline and cortisol, you also have hormones that bring that
Mm-hmm.
that do the opposite. So
Mm-hmm.
you have
Mm-hmm.
hormones like noradrenaline. You also have
Yes.
hormones like serotonin. Serotonin is
Mm-hmm.
the hormone that makes us happy, and
Yes.
serotonin is created and released when we exercise. We release more
Mm-hmm.
serotonin in the brain, and it helps us
Mm-hmm.
be, more likely to go out and exercise.
Yeah.
But it also is important for our mood. It is also important for sleep. And that's why we also want to do
Yeah.
early evening walks, because when
Mm-hmm.
we do those early evening walks, not only do we help our muscles relax, but we're also making serotonin at that time, which will
Mm-hmm.
still be in our bodies at the time that we need to sleep, and it helps us to sleep better. So you
Mm.
want more serotonin to be made. And when you're
Mm-hmm.
doing your breathing exercises and breathing deeper, breathing more slowly, you also help the body to make what is called noradrenaline, which
Yeah.
supports the part of the body systems that gets us to relax, the
That's right.
parasympathetic system. Yeah.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Thank you. Yeah, so hormones are usually in pairs, aren't they? It's
Yes,
one is up, one is down, and yeah, it's body is amazing. It's such an intelligently designed the body. Um,
absolutely.
well, uh, thank you, Edith. Just before you go, one final question. So if someone's listening and they're really struggling silently, and you feel like you don't feel yourself. What message of hope would you leave with them today?
Um, well, do you know what? I know that the most important thing is to get help.
Mm,
When you don't feel
mm,
yourself, something is amiss. And I like to say to people that your body is so clever and your brain is so clever. It literally just does, it's there to help you to stay alive.
mm,
So think
mm-hmm,
about anything that you're experiencing is actually a help. For example, if you have
mm,
pain, that's your body
mm.
saying something is
It's
amiss,
wrong.
right?
That's right.
If
Yeah.
you have swelling, that's your body saying, oh, maybe we had an infection and we have
Mm-hmm,
sent agents to come and help get rid of that
mm-hmm,
infection.
mm-hmm,
So we
mm-hmm,
send all sorts of cells to that site to fix that problem so that the
mm-hmm,
infection is destroyed. And now it will swell, it will hurt, but that's
mm-hmm.
actually to keep you alive. Because if we didn't control that infection, it would spread, probably go
Mm-hmm.
to more
Mm-hmm.
crucial organs, and you might die. So your
Mm-hmm.
brain's worst case scenario always is death. And everything that your body is doing is to try and support you to stay alive. And
That's
your
right.
emotional
That's right.
health is the same, and your hormonal health is
Mm,
the same. When you don't feel yourself, your body's saying, hey, something is wrong. We need to
mm-hmm.
fix it. And
Yeah.
it's directing you to either go get help talk
Mhm.
to a doctor, talk to a
Mhm.
therapist, go see somebody so that we can fix what's going wrong, and
Yeah.
then you will be okay, and we are going to be okay,
Mhm.
and we're going to stay
That's right.
alive,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So don't just ignore things. If you're not
Mhm.
feeling your best, if you're not feeling well, and I'm not saying we should become like, everything that goes wrong, we just go to the GP. Don't
Mhm.
also
Mhm.
do what I've done sometimes in the past, consult Dr. Google's. I tell you, funny story. One time something happened to me. It's so crazy. I woke up one night. I like to tell stories and it's like so you can know, like, we're humans, we do things, right? One time I woke up and I had a lump. Now I'm
Mhm.
not gonna say you shouldn't do this, or you need to see your doctor, right? I had a lump under my breast,
Mhm.
which just happened very suddenly, like
Mhm.
overnight. Now, look, I've
Mhm.
been to medical school, and here I am. I woke up and I said, "Oh my goodness, I've got a lump. What is it? Oh my God." So I went to Dr. Google and I was like, "Dr. Google, lump under breast."
Chris,
And
what does
Dr.
this
Google
mean?
told me all sorts of things. Told me all sorts of things. So I'm lying there thinking, "Oh my God, oh no, oh no," right? All sorts of things. And oh, it could be this, it could be that.
Mhm.
So I think, oh no, this is serious. Gonna die or something. So anyway, and then I take a moment. I say, Edith, don't be silly. If there's a lump there, if you think that's what it is, you need to go see your GP, right?
Mhm.
And in any case, what did you do last night? Because this can't have just come up suddenly overnight.
Suddenly. Mhm. Mhm.
Let me
Mhm.
tell you what it was.
What was
Because of
it?
my sleep, because of me and sleep, I sleep like you could be talking to me right now, and when it's time for me to go to bed, I'm like, lights out,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
So
Yeah. Mhm.
I slept with a hot water bottle in my hands on my chest. Don't do that. So I had just put this hot water bottle, and it was not properly closed, so some part of the plastic was still showing. And I
Oh
had
dear.
so I burned myself. Listen,
Yourself.
guys,
Mhm.
I did. I burned myself. I mean, look, winter is coming. Don't do this. The hot water bottles can be absolutely dangerous. So I burned myself. That's what it was. It was a blister
Oh dear.
from, and sadly, it was quite bad. So I did go to the GP and I had to have dressings and stuff like that. I still have that scar. And every time I see it, I think, don't consult Dr. Google. When things
Mhm.
go wrong, or if you feel that something's wrong, go and see your physician, go and see your doctor. They will know what to do. Or if they don't,
Mhm.
they will send you to somebody else who
That's
might
right.
know what to do. So, yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, I laugh at myself now, but that's a medical advisory. Watch out, hot water bottles can be quite dangerous. And number
Mhm.
two,
Mhm.
Dr. Google is not the best place to look for help.
Mhm. Okay. You heard it. Dr. Google is not the best place to look for help. I'm still laughing from the story, but anyway.
It's okay. I got lots of stories. I'm telling you. I'll be like, oh dear me, oh dear me. Edith, seriously. But I guess I was still in a sleepy haze, and now you ask me, how did you even do that and not feel it and sleep the whole night, right?
Mm-mm.
Hmm.
Don't know. You were in the
I
sleep
sleep.
zone.
I
Yeah,
sleep.
yeah,
Yeah, let's just
yeah,
put it
you
that
did.
way. I sleep.
Yeah, you did. You did, and you do. Well, wow. It's been a fantastic conversation with you today, Edith. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for sharing with our audience. What a powerful, powerful, discussion today. So, for all our listeners and viewers, remember that your hormones, yes, they run the show in your body, but they don't have to be imbalanced. So, please do seek your help from your doctor if you're feeling off. and to know that there are things that we can do. And this is one of the main reasons why this show exists, to educate us on simple lifestyle strategies that we can actually practice daily so we can remain healthy. So, once again, Edith, thank you very much for coming and have a
You're
wonderful
welcome.
evening. And
Thank
perhaps
you.
we'll have a part two of this or any other interesting topic you wanted to talk to our audience about in future. So remember, yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, it'll be. Thank you. Thank you for
Absolutely.
accepting that open invitation to come back again.
No, absolutely. I
Yeah.
love to, health education is something that
Mm,
I'm passionate about. Maybe
yeah,
next time I come around, we'll talk about more emotional and mental health related stuff because
absolutely.
that's sort of my
That's big.
speciality. Yeah, yeah,
Excellent. Okay, well,
yeah.
you are coming back. Yes, we are coming back to talk about that. So there you have it. So thank you very much for coming, Edith, and thank you all for listening. And remember, as we always like to end the show with, your health is your wealth. So let's get wealthy together by staying healthy. And until next time, take care.